Penelope was not just a baker, she was also a detective. Her tea shop, the Crumbly Clue, was famous for its scones and its owner's sharp mind. One Tuesday morning, an old woman named Mrs. Higgins ran into the shop. Her face was red and her hat was crooked. "Penelope! My golden teapot is gone," she cried. "The one with the tiny gold dragon on the lid. It was a gift from my grandmother." The golden teapot was a famous object in the small town of Little Crumb. It was not worth much money, but it was important to everyone. Penelope put down her flour sack. "Tell me everything," she said. Mrs. Higgins explained that she had shown the teapot to two people the day before, Mr. Grumbles, who owned the rival bakery across the street, and Lily, the new young librarian. Penelope went to Mrs. Higgins's house. She looked around the living room. Everything was in its place. The front door was locked, and the window was closed. There was only one small clue, a tiny, purple crumb on the floor. It sparkled under the light. Penelope had an idea. She knew Mr. Grumbles only used brown sugar in his cakes. She also knew that Lily, the librarian, had a book club meeting at the library last night. They had a special dessert. Penelope walked to the library. The book club was just finishing. On a small table, she saw a plate with a few small cupcakes. They were purple, and they were covered in shiny, edible glitter. Penelope walked to Lily. "Lily," she said, holding up the tiny crumb. "Did your book club have purple cupcakes last night?" Lily looked at the crumb, then at Penelope. Her face turned bright red. "Yes," she whispered. "Did you, perhaps, take a little trip to Mrs. Higgins's house yesterday? Maybe you had a cupcake in your pocket?" Penelope asked kindly. Lily started to cry. "I am so sorry. I didn't steal it. I just wanted to borrow it. The teapot looks exactly like the one in the book we are reading this month. I wanted to surprise the book club." Penelope smiled. "Where is it now?" Lily led Penelope to a quiet corner of the library. Behind a shelf of old books, the golden teapot sat, safe and sound. The town of Little Crumb was happy. Mrs. Higgins got her teapot back. Lily joined Penelope's book club, and Mr. Grumbles baked some fresh bread. All was well. The case of the golden teapot was closed, thanks to a small purple crumb and a baker with a very good eye. Vocabulary notes. Crooked, something that is not straight. Example, her hat was crooked. This means her hat was not sitting straight on her head. Another example, the picture on the wall was slightly crooked. Similar words, tilted, lopsided. Rival, a person or company that competes with another. Example, Mr. Grumbles, who owned the rival bakery across the street. This means Mr. Grumbles' bakery was in competition with Penelope's tea shop. Another example, the two football teams were big rivals. Similar words, competitor, opponent. Clue, a piece of evidence that helps to solve a mystery or a crime. Example, there was only one small clue, a tiny, purple crumb on the floor. This crumb was the key to solving the mystery. Another example, the detective found a footprint in the mud, which was an important clue. Similar words, hint, lead. Sparkled, to shine brightly with flashes of light. Example, it sparkled under the light. This describes the glitter on the purple crumb. Another example, the snow on the mountain sparkled in the sun. Similar words, glistened, shimmered. Kindly, in a gentle, friendly, or polite way. Example, Penelope asked kindly. This shows that Penelope's question was not mean or aggressive. Another example, the teacher spoke kindly to the new student to make them feel welcome. Similar words, gently, politely. Conclusive, providing or having a definite ending, not open to question. Example, the story has a conclusive ending, meaning the mystery is solved and the story is finished. Another example, the evidence was conclusive, proving the man was innocent. Similar words, final, decisive. Story written by Gemini Pro AI. Image created by Gemini Pro AI. To read all the stories in full, please go to www.steveuk.blog. Thank you. CC Music, Drifting at 432 Hz, Unicorn Heads.
Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we've all heard stories about master detectives, but have you ever stopped to think about how a huge, baffling mystery could be cracked open by the smallest, most insignificant clue? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today with a story called The Golden Teapot Mystery.
So, let's just jump right in. Picture this. A seemingly impossible case. There are no witnesses, no forced entry, and a priceless object has just vanished into thin air. It sounds hopeless, right? But what if the key to the whole thing was hiding in plain sight, disguised as something as tiny as a single sparkly crumb?
So, Section 1, a baker turned detective. Our story kicks off with a hero whose special skills, well, they come from a very unexpected place. In the charming little town of Little Crumb, we meet Penelope. She runs a tea shop called the Crumbly Clue. And that name is just perfect, because even though she's famous for her amazing scones, her real gift is an incredibly sharp mind for solving mysteries.
Okay, on to Section 2, the missing teapot mystery. A brand new case is about to land right on Penelope's doorstep, and this one involves a treasure that the whole community holds dear. One morning, a completely frantic Mrs. Higgins rushes into the shop. You can just hear the sheer panic in her voice. Her precious golden teapot is gone. And this wasn't just any old teapot, it was a gift from her grandmother, and everyone knew it by the little gold dragon on its lid.
And here's the thing about this teapot. Its value wasn't really about the gold. It was about what it meant to everyone. It was a famous landmark in Little Crumb, a piece of shared history that connected the whole town.
So, Section 3, Suspects and a Sparkly Clue. With the teapot officially missing, Penelope's investigation kicks into high gear. And right away, she's got two possible suspects and one very, very strange clue.
Turns out, only two people had been near the teapot recently. First, there's Mr. Grumbles. He owns the competing bakery right across the street, which, gives him a pretty clear motive. And then there's Lily, the new librarian in town. The stage is set. And just so we're all on the same page, the fact that Mr. Grumbles is a rival baker, well, that immediately makes him a person of interest. Could he have stolen it out of pure professional jealousy? It's a classic setup for a mystery. But here's the thing. Despite all the potential motives, when Penelope investigates Mrs. Higgins's house, she finds almost nothing. The door was locked, the windows were shut. It felt like a total dead end. Except for one tiny, almost unnoticeable little detail. And this is it. This is the big break. Not a footprint, not a strand of hair, but a tiny purple crumb on the floor that sparkled when the light hit it. It's such an odd little detail, and it immediately catches Penelope's expert eye. So, you have to understand, this isn't just a clue. It's the only clue. The entire case, everything, now hinges on what this one little crumb can tell them. The fact that it sparkled is also just so important. This crumb didn't come from some ordinary cake. That sparkle suggests something special, something decorative, and that specific little detail is about to blow this case wide open.
And now for Section 4, the purple crumb deduction. Honestly, this is the most satisfying part of any mystery, right? It's when we get to see how our detective connects all the dots. So how does Penelope link a sparkly crumb to a suspect?
This is where Penelope's day job as a baker becomes her superpower. She knows her rival Mr. Grumbles inside and out, and she knows he only bakes with brown sugar. His cakes would never ever leave behind a purple sparkly crumb. And just like that, suspect number 1 is off the list.
So let's just trace her logic here. Step 1, she finds the clue, that purple sparkly crumb. Step 2, she uses her expert baker knowledge to rule out Mr. Grumbles. So, where did the crumb come from? Then it hits her. Lily's book club. They'd met the night before, and she remembered they served special purple cupcakes with edible glitter. The path leads straight to the library. When Penelope gets to the library, sure enough, she sees the leftover purple cupcakes, covered in that exact same glitter. The mystery is solved. But just look at how she confronts Lily. It's not an accusation. It's this gentle, almost friendly question. She just lays out the evidence and lets Lily connect the dots herself.
And her kindly approach is the real key here. It's not about being aggressive. It's about being understanding. And that approach makes it safe for Lily to actually tell the truth, which is an incredibly powerful tool for any detective.
And that brings us to Section 5, Case Closed. With that one gentle question, the entire case comes to an end. And it reveals a motive that absolutely no one saw coming. And here's the final twist. Lily wasn't a thief at all. She confesses that she just wanted to borrow the teapot. Why? Because it looked exactly like a teapot described in the book her club was reading that month. It wasn't a crime of greed. It was a crime of pure literary enthusiasm.
In the end, it's really the perfect resolution. The teapot is found safe and sound in the library. Mrs. Higgins is overjoyed to have it back. And Lily, instead of being punished, is welcomed into the community. With all the suspicion gone, everything is peaceful again in Little Crumb.
And so, the case of the golden teapot was closed. The entire mystery hinged on one tiny observation, and a detective whose unique expertise allowed her to see the one thing that everyone else had completely missed.
And that leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? This story is such a great reminder that the world around us is just full of clues, full of these tiny, sparkling details. So the question for you is, what small things are you overlooking every day? What tiny details in your world are just waiting for a closer look to tell their own, much bigger story? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.